everyone, welcome to the video. John Bodine here with Redemptive Psych, and here we're discussing the 16 type series. We're trying to keep these videos shorter and more contained. That way you can get a feel for each of the profiles, or at least the profiles that resonate with you in a short period of time. Here at Redemptive Psych, we're committed to using these pieces of psychology to understand ourselves, to accept ourselves through that, and to do the same for others, and to explore our Creator through exploring the pieces that He uses to make us. And that is my belief that this is one of the ways we are shaped and created with our personality type. Today we're talking about the ENTJ, one of the types that most fascinates me. I'm very interested in them. My experience with them is it's like walking on a path and looking at someone through this clear wall and kind of waving at them and being kind of interested in what they're about, and then you kind of go do your own thing. I feel very different from them, but I see some similarities, and I find them kind of fascinating. The ENTJ is one of the 4 rational types. This is the first of the rational types we're discussing. The rationals are future-oriented, innovative. They're about bringing new systems into play that make life easier for themselves and others, but they have a future orientation. What are we moving towards? The 3 words I've picked for the ENTJ are executive, achieve or achiever, and then aesthetic. Aesthetic, not aesthetic. Aesthetic as in the artistry, the art. For executive, ENTJs are natural executives. The picture of someone who's a CEO of a company or leader of a movement, that archetype or that personality is usually going to be an ENTJ type. Now, one of the things I've realized about ENTJs that some of them don't resonate with this as being someone who controls and leads other people. But they're either an executive of other people, where they are CEO and they're leading people and kind of telling people what to do, or they're more of an executive of themselves, where they might be committed more to a free lifestyle, where they're not in charge of a bunch of people, but they are a self-manager. They are an executive within their own home. It can express itself in different ways. I've met some ENTJs who don't desire to control people as much, and then some who do have that tendency and that desire to be in charge of a bigger group. Next, achieve or achiever. They are motivated by achievements. Whatever that achievement may look like depends on their values and what happens to be thought highly of within their group or society. This can be a credential, like a college degree or a certification. It can be a specific skill or a skill set. It can be making something. In general, one of their drives is to make something, is to create something. It doesn't always have to be a creative thing. It can be building a company or creating that, or creating a little business, or in general a drive to make something that can last and that can be looked back on as an important part of history, even if it's just the history within one's own family, for example. But they're very motivated by achievement. And then third, aesthetic. One of the lesser known attributes of the ENTJ is their taste for art and aesthetics. It's sort of a hidden thing for most of them, because especially the big CEO types, they look very kind of cold and capitalistic and just trying to make money. But within them is a desire to make things beautiful and to make things personalized and make their environment interesting. They have a taste for that. Now, the ones who are less developed within these 2 functions don't necessarily express that very much, but they do have an internal desire for some kind of expressiveness, for some kind of artistry, even if it's expressed through the business, for example. So to me, these are the 3 words I have picked that captures my understanding of the ENTJ in brief. Moving on to the functions and the tools, we have the top tool. This is our go-to tool. This is our strongest place in our personality. For the ENTJ, this is extroverted thinking hero. ENTJs with extroverted thinking hero are very good at learning things quickly. They can rapidly gather input. They can hold and store information. It's a knowledge base. They are very, when compelled to ask other people's opinions, they will soak that in, and absorb it very quickly. They are interested in listening to other people. People have this image of ENTJs being the steamroller that just kind of steamrolls everyone in their way and kind of subjugates them to their whims. Some ENTJs are like that, but even those ones, when they're in a place of wanting to gather input, they can be tremendous listeners and can be very curious and want to know what people think. They're not just about controlling things. With this, with TE Hero, also comes their drive to achieve and to gather achievements. TE is, the external thinking, the external achievement of what that thing is how that thing is thought of by others. Is it recognized? Is that degree recognized? Is that achievement or skill set recognized? They want to achieve things that are recognized by others, and that helps them feel better about themselves, frankly, because they feel worthless a lot of the time. But from TE Hero comes part of their drive to achieve things and to get things that are recognized by other people. Next is their parent function. This is the source of our responsibility, some of our caution, and even though it can be an introverted function, it's usually in service of a greater good. For the ENTJ, this is introverted intuition parent. This is the vision, this is the future, this is the direction we're going, or the direction I'm going. This is what I'm going to pursue. Now, because it's a parent function, it is naturally more interested in how it's going to affect other people. So they have a drive, for example, when they're leading a company or a group or a family, to pick something and to pursue something that's going to bring everyone along with them. It is the vision forward that we're all going to unite around. Some film directors, for example, like Christopher Nolan, who I believe is an ENTJ, has this ability where he has his personal vision and all of his preparation, and he brings everyone alongside of him for that vision, for that pursuit. They are very interested in finding that vision and in pursuing that, and that is one of the ways they mature, is by developing or finding a vision that they can commit to. Next is the child. This is the place of the ENTJ's innocence and almost a purity of some ways, because the child is naive and has a desire to kind of give and be innocent, and it's like a source of renewing energy for the ENTJ too. It's one of the ways they get energy. For the ENTJ, it's extroverted sensing child. This is where they want to make other people feel good and give them a memorable experience. They can also be quite competitive with SE child, of wanting to show their skills and their ability. They are very in tune with the experiences of people around them, of how, if they're comfortable, if they're uncomfortable, their needs. They love to provide people their basic needs. ENTJs often are good at hosting or giving parties, though some ENTJs have a hard time identifying with that because they feel more introverted and internal. But many of them, when they put their mind to it, they're actually really good at developing and giving an experience to other people. They also desperately need consistency and reliability from others. ENTJs who go into business with a partner or have a spouse, they are drawn to people who are stable and reliable and allow the ENTJ to be the freedom-based visionary to pursue and develop a vision. Next is their inferior function. This is the source of ENTJ's insecurity, anxiety, and vulnerability. Of all the 16 types, I find that the ENTJs, especially the ones who are more in the executive positions, have the most difficult time with their inferior function, because their hero function is all about management and leadership and gathering information and organizing that information. They can, for example, if they're in charge of a company, they can be very much about the numbers or the money and not so much about the people. And they worry that they're worthless and useless and not up to snuff, that they don't have the worth, that they're, as a human being, they are not valuable. And this can be a deep motivation for their drive to achieve things and to pursue things, because those achievements can help calm down their inferior function and You know, it's like if I have a lot of achievements that people recognize as being important, then that must mean I'm not a worthless person. And that agreement that they often make is it's not quite the right order. They get it mixed up. They try and pour achievements over their vulnerability to make it feel better. It's sort of like if you have a baby who's crying and who's hungry, and instead of feeding them, you pour like packages of chips or something that they can't eat and that they can't open, and the ENTJ hopes that is going to make them feel better. An ENTJ who can develop with their inferior function here, they start to actually look at their own values and what they actually care about, and don't just develop their values based on what other people think is cool, but actually what they believe in. And this can become a source of their integrity and their generosity when they actually develop values or adhere to values that are genuinely important to them. Next is their Nemesis function. The Nemesis is the hero's other half. It's the push and pull of the hero. It exists to expand our hero function, to challenge our top tool to grow. For the ENTJ, this is introverted thinking Nemesis. Even though they may not seem like it, they're very worried that they're not smart. They're very worried that they're dumb. They're very worried that they don't have what it takes to solve a problem. This is one of the reasons they pursue so much data and so much information, because if I have all the information and all the research, then it's going to protect me from being stupid. And that's kind of true. If you know a lot and you have researched things from quality places, it is going to protect you from your blind spots. But the problem is they avoid solving or trying to think through the problem on their own. They have this agreement often that they're dumb and that they're stupid just because they feel that way. But what they can realize is that if they use all their research as a starting point, and if that research is quality research, then you get to interact with that material and interact with the data and practice thinking. It's not like you're suddenly going to feel smart, but by practicing thinking, you actually prove to yourself that you can solve a problem, that you have what it takes to think through it. And instead of ignoring that, this is actually can be a gift to you if you start just practicing thinking. Next is their critic function. This is the place where we're naturally critical and dismissive and possibly bitter. For the ENTJ, that is extroverted intuition critic. This is where they are critical of other people's choices, of other people's intentions. They are very careful with their choices and the vision they pursue and the things they seek after, and they see other people being without a vision, just kind of living day to day and kind of living without intention and without purpose. And they can be very critical and dismissive of those people. However, some ENTJs I've met get to a point where they realize, you know what, they want a little more freedom to just live day to day too, and that can allow them to be a little more relaxed with other people's choices. But any critic can also be a source of wisdom where they teach other people how to make decisions and how to pick a path, and possibly criticize the path they're on and show that person, you know, you're really not going anywhere with that path. And it can be a way that they develop a mentorship capacity for other people, especially in business. You'll find ENTJs who mentor other people into picking a path or saying no to certain paths and helping them choose a better one. Next is the trickster. The trickster is the source of our obliviousness, where we think we know it and then we don't really know it, and then it's just like, it's very confusing. For the ENTJ, this is introverted sensing trickster. They are not super aware of their body, for example. They're not super aware of their duty necessarily until it's developed with time, perhaps when it's in relation to their vision. But they also have this sort of tricksterly relationship with their past. They don't necessarily always remember what happened to them, or they might get some things confused with their personal experience. And it's sort of this flighty thing. However, with a lot of practice, I've met some ENTJs who, for example, are quite disciplined and methodical and understand their past a little bit better. So as they have people in their life who are more reliable and consistent, they can use that to triangulate, beginning to understand their own experience. And they have people around them who remember things, and they can bring themselves back to that memory and develop some awareness within their trickster. And lastly is the demon. The demon is our source of, it's a deep repression. It's called the underminer too. It's the place that's pulling and creating some damage even when we're not aware of it. We're not usually very aware of the demon. The ENTJ's demon is extroverted feeling. They naturally dismiss or challenge or take the wind out of the sails, so to speak, of other people's values or principles or emotions or humanity at times. That executive ENTJ who's in charge of 1,000 people or 10 people, they lead with the organizational structure, with the pursuit of goals and measurements and data, that they often forget the people that they have around them, and they forget to invest in the people around them instead of just investing in, the measurable feedback, the money or the data or whatever. But once they start to practice that other people are people, and that perhaps they have some of the same vulnerabilities that they do, that the ENTJ does about their vulnerability, it will create less damage and stop ruining what other people think of them, because they start to treat others as more than just a piece of the puzzle. But ENTJs in general, they are amongst the best leaders and inspiring, and they take control of situations, even if it's more of a self-executive, of someone who manages themselves. They can be inspiring examples of leadership of oneself or of others. That's the ENTJ profile in short. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be kicking out a few more of these videos in the near future. So hope to see you then. Thank you. Bye.